Hello and welcome back to everyone on Respect and to another edition of Smackdown Out of 10. It's the last episode of Smackdown before Night of Champions, and yeah, WWE is already in Saudi Arabia, so we got a lot on this show along with Cena and Punk's final confrontation, and we got 3 title matches on the card. But we started things off with a brief intro from Michael Cole before Cody Rhodes made his way into the arena. The King of the Ring crown was on the podium, so it was clear there'd be a long promo for the get-go. Before Rhodes could speak, Orton's music hit and the Viper put over Rhodes for beating Jay to get to the final of the show to cut a different angle. This was the segment experienced technical difficulties in the arena, so all of the footage looked a little grainy. Other than the weird camera angles, this was a pretty standard exchange. Elton and Rhodes have been down this road before, so there wasn't much ground to cover. They did the best they could, but it would be hard for anyone in their position to make this feel much more interesting, to be honest. Before the first match of the night was Jimmy Uso versus JC Mateo. Solo Sikoa gave Mateo a quick pep talk before his match against Jimmy. He said he wanted Jimmy to return to the family, so he sent Mateo to remind him what it feels like to be alone. Mateo took the early, but Uso made a quick comeback as he tried to hit a suicide dive. Sikoa blocked him and tried to convince him to join the family again as the show went to a break. Mateo eventually got the win with a tour of Ireland thanks to the distraction from Sikoa. They traded matches, they traded kind of barbs, but it's familiar ground. Sikoa once again tried to convince Jimmy, but he was met with a slap and Mateo attacked him from behind. Jacob Fatu ended up making the same, and Uso and Fatu shared a friendly look, but it didn't exactly seem friendly. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. I don't know, it kind of just feeling like going over old ground, to be honest. But you know, maybe it will develop the story and we'll see where it all ends up in the next few weeks. But for this alone, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. We then got Zelina Vega versus Julia, and yeah, they started an exchange of counts before taking each other down with simultaneous kicks. Even though Julia is not known for her size, you could see that she was enjoying being a bigger competitor in this match. And after hitting a moonsault, Vega began selling her leg injury. Once we returned from a break, the challenger was firmly in control. Vega began to build momentum after hitting a running knee against steel steps. After regaining the upper hand, Julia hit a new Northern Lights bomb to win the US title. This match had some weak points, but it had more good than bad, and I think both of them put in a great effort. I think Julia is probably better suited to the title right now, so I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Before we got Jade Cargill and Asuka both coming out for an in-ring segment with Wade Barrett ahead of their Queen of the Ring match on Sunday. Barrett asked why Cargill is confident she will win and says she isn't afraid of Asuka and sees her an opportunity. After Asuka responded, Naomi came out with her Money in the Bank briefcase. After talking some trash, Jade went after her and she knocked Asuka down, and it led to the Empress taking her out with a few kicks. This is a little more effective than the men's segment, and it's set up to kind of add some tension and put another feud in progress. So yeah, good stuff. Before we got DIY teaming up to take on Andrade and Rey Fenix. Andrade teamed up with Phoenix to take on Gargano and Ciampa, and Phoenix and Elo used their high-flying offense to take control almost immediately as the show went to a break. We returned to see DIY having taken over, but Phoenix fought off Ciampa, leading to a hot tag. They kept the match competitive and traded control several times before getting to the finish. DIY came close, but Andrade and Phoenix pulled off the victory with their combined finishes. This is a really fun match, so all 4 guys do some pretty solid work. So yeah, I'm going to give it 7 out of 10. I thought good win for Andrade and Phoenix. Question is where we're going to DIY at the moment, but yeah, I thought it was probably a good win for the babyface. Moving on into Street Profits versus the Wyatt Six for the tag titles. Before that, Ron Collins came out to call John Cena out for another fight, but he ended with taking a black mask from Aleister Black, who Truth interrupted 2 weeks ago. Black said they will now become walking away, but almost certainly lead to a match soon. Before we got Ford and Dawkins taking on Gacy and Loomis. Ford got down on all fours with Loomis before they popped up to their feet and started trading fast punches. Fraxi and DIY, Los Garza and MCMG showed up at ringside to make sure the Wyatts didn't get involved. After the break, the match ended up being called off due to the involvement of everyone at ringside. The match was fine up until that point, but it just felt like we were robbed of a pretty decent title bout. So yeah, for that reason, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. We then got the women's title on the line with Tiffany Stratton taking on Nia Jax. Jax got an early advantage by attacking Stratton before the ref had the chance to call for the bell. Tiffany tried to make a comeback, but she took a step to seal sets to the stomach. The challenger cleared off the announce table and hit a Samoan drop to top it off. We returned from a break to see Stratton having rebounded and using weapons to inflict damage. The ring had 2 chairs, a kendo stick and a table, but it was almost an exposed turnbuckle that kept Tiffy down for the count. This was never going to be a match for technical exchanges. This was designed to be as hardcore as they get away with, and in that regard they succeeded. Both women were counted down after a powerbomb through a table, but Naomi looked to be cashing in. Stratton took her down with a briefcase and a moonsault to put Jax down at the same time. Tiffy put Jax through 2 tables at ringside to secure the win. So yeah, this was really good stuff. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Kind of feels like we've seen a lot of from these 2 women now. So yeah, maybe we would appreciate an E feud, but for this alone, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. The show ended with a final in-ring segment between Cena and Punk before they meet on Saturday. Cena stole Punk's pipe bomb promo during recent interactions, so Punk decided to do the Thugonomics Cena from back in the day. Not only did he dress the part, but Punk even brought his own rap lyrics. Unfortunately, didn't even come close to matching the level of the Sting hours words that Cena used to get with the promo. On paper, it's a good idea. In execution, it's a little lacking. Punk tripped over some lines, and there are more than one or two questionable rhymes. But you know, it was a bit of a laugh. So yeah, I'm not going to criticise it too much. And the final episode of SmackDown before Night of Champions was a surprisingly brisk show considering how much ground it covered. We got a little bit of build up, but there's also title matches on there. Julia winning the championship wasn't shocking, but it was a great moment for her. And you know, the tag match as well with DIY was really fun. So yeah, on the whole, I'm going to give it 6 out of 10. I thought it was a pretty solid episode of SmackDown. So yeah, 6 out of 10. That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.